Hi everyone, it's Caitlin from Really Big Plant. Thank you so much for joining me.
Really Big Plant.
I'm doing a bit of reorganization in this area. Actually, right now I'm filming this after I reset everything up. So I'm going to just jump into the footage and show you what I did over here. And then I'm going to take you on a little mini plant tour of the plants in this area that you haven't seen before on my channel. And I'm going to do a couple of repottings because there were some sad plants from over here that I want to try to give a better chance to. So we're gonna go ahead and do that as well. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this redecoration. Okay, I'm really doing it. I'm gonna move this elbow. I haven't moved it in years. Okay, so here's the deal. It looks terrible over here. I've mentioned a couple of times that I want to change this area. So I've got these 3 shelves here, and over time, I've basically removed everything off of this shelf. I have realized about myself that when the plants are hard to access, I don't care for them. I don't water them, and they get really, really underwatered. And this triangularis, my Ficus triangularis, blocks my access to that shelf. Listen to me trying to blame the plants. I positioned a bunch of plants in front of this shelf, so I blocked off my access to it. And as a result, all the plants back there don't do well. So I'm taking down this shelf and I'm going to try to push the tree back to the wall because I think that would look a lot better and it will free up some space over here. And I'm actually gonna take this shelf down too and replace it with a similar but taller unit over here. And I'm really sorry, you guys. I wanted to share these shelves with you. I finally launched my Amazon store, by the way. Links in the description. But I wanted to share this furniture with you. But right after I ordered this second shelf, this entire line disappeared from Amazon. Like, I don't know what happened, but when I go through my orders and try to click on the product, it takes me to a page with a dog. You know what I'm talking about on Amazon, like when it doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know what happened, but I'm really sorry about that. So I've got some other shelves and stuff on there too. I guess this isn't a very good ad for my Amazon store, but I'm excited that I put together some products on there. So feel free to check that out if you want. I have like some collections of clothes and stuff, and I've just started messing around on there, but I've got a lot of saved products, so I need to just keep building my store out. But yeah, I'm gonna be updating that all the time if you feel like shopping for things that I like to shop for. So anyway, okay, let's do these shelves. Can you see? Sorry, it's death o'clock in my apartment, which is what I call the time of day when the light comes streaming in through my southwest windows and it's like blinding and super hot in here, which for the most part the plants like. I mean, you've seen how I have a lot of fried plants in my collection, I think due to death o'clock, but we're making do. I'm just basically gonna move all the plants out of the way. I have this little table here that's like, I usually try to hide it in my videos because it's got a lot of little struggle plants on it and plants that I'm trying to convince myself to take better care of and like water more frequently. So I have to put them right here next to the couch so that I can see them all the time. I have some extremely sad syngonium arrowhead vine plants that were living on the bottom shelf of the shelf that I'm about to take down, and they only get watered like once a month if they're lucky. I'm hoping to do better with these. Look at this one's so thirsty, all of its leaves never opened. An over 2-year-old leaf cutting from my mom's Schefflera that she's had since she was a kid. I was hoping that it would propagate into a full plant, but it's just stayed as this single leaf for ages, but we're on to year 2 now. So I feel like it's cute. It's just a little single umbrella. This is my first ever rhaphidophora. I got it as a tiny, tiny little cutting that was super expensive from Logi's back in the day. Now it's pretty big. It suffered from a good amount of nutrient deficiency from before I was really fertilizing my plants sufficiently, but I need to do something with it. So I guess that's coming up soon in a chore video. This is a Stephania erecta, a caudex plant. This is the bulb. It's like a giant potato. but you can tell that it's not getting enough light because look at how far it's stretching in order to grow leaves. So I'm probably gonna just cut this whole little stalk off and let this thing start again. Hoya linearis. Whole tray of Christmas cacti that I clearly neglect. Okay, it's a mess over here. These pots are still here from my last video. My lovely assistant, Phineas. Good boy. Okay, wow, looks so different over there. It's happening. Wow, I feel like this looks so much better already. You probably can't tell from that angle, but having the tree pushed back a couple feet makes such a big difference over here. I've got some yellowing leaves on my triangularis right now. I accidentally missed watering last month, and every couple months this happens where I'll miss a watering and the tree throws a little tantrum and drops like 100 leaves or so, and it sounds like a lot, but ultimately it's not that bad and it just keeps growing. It's looking good back over here. I'm very excited. All right, it's looking so good over here now. Gonna just keep going. Got the Winter Olympics on in the background. I love winter biathlon. It's my favorite. It's the only sport that like actually prepares you for the apocalypse. You can like cross-country ski for so long and then like hit your target with so few bullets, like heroes. Do we need like a cable box?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anybody have a good solution for what you do with your like internet cables that just look terrible? I don't know what to do with these. They kind of like everything needs to be out because if we block it, then we don't have good internet. Let's zoom out and I will show you what I did over here. Oh, I also wanted to explain this lamp. I know it looks terrible, but because these windows are so bright during the day, and then at night, the only light in my apartment is the one above my monstera over there. So we turn this on at nighttime because otherwise it's like pitch black over in the window area. So this lamp kind of just lives in the middle of the room over here. Anyway, I feel like it looks great over here now. There's a lot more room. The tree, my triangularis, used to be sticking out past where this lamp was. It was like all the way out here. I had this little table thing over here with some propagations and stuff that I just relocated and I put the table away. So I've got all this space. So yeah, that's really exciting. And then I put the giganteum up there, which I think looks awesome. This is chaotic. Let me go back and just show you this whole shelf system. I'm very excited about this transformation. Okay, oh, this lamp is so annoying. Let me go into wide angle. All right, so here's what we're working with. So I moved out the 2 shelves that used to be over there and I pushed back my Ficus triangularis. And I bought this secondary shelf unit, which I set up, and it's a little bit taller than the one that used to be here, but because it was part of the same like system, which I'm really sorry no longer exists, they were able to link up together. So that was really a cool thing. And yeah, now I've got a lot of plants over here that weren't here before. So first of all, look at my sprawling rhaphidophora. It's just doing whatever it wants. My internet plant. This is so annoying. This is like really driving me crazy since I reorganized. I tried putting this back over there, but then our internet basically stopped working. So it needs to be out here. And the like little plug to hook the internet into, I don't know what you call that thing, but it's back there and we can't like take this somewhere else because it needs to plug in over there. So whatever, it is what it is. Okay, yeah, and so then here on these 2 shelves, this shelf, and I guess a little bit of this shelf, I still have all of the same Hoyas. I haven't moved any of them. So I can just name them really quick. Carnosa, Crimson Queen, Macrophylla, Wyetii, Exotica, Pubicalix that needs water, it's a little pale. Crinkle 8, Compacta, Shepherdii with blooms that are on their way out, and the Obovata. And then, so exciting, my Hoya linearis looks like it's maybe about to bloom on so many of the little vines. There's all these little peduncles forming. I've never seen these before. They're not like the normal growth. So I'm very, very excited about that. I was a little anxious because I noticed it when I was moving this plant around during this transition, but I'm keeping it in pretty much exactly the same place. It's just like sitting up like, I don't know, 10 inches higher than it was before. So it should be fine. Okay, so I've got my giganteum, which I moved up here onto this top shelf. It just barely fit up there. And it's doing good. We'll see what happens to it because this is kind of like the burn zone right here. The sun comes in really hot and scorches even some of my Hoyas sometimes. So I'm expecting that some of these leaves might get a little bit damaged, but that's okay. I want it to acclimate to the sun. And there are some of the oldest leaves on the plant down there. So if they get a little bit burnt up, that's gonna be okay. And yeah, look at the growth spike on there. Oh my gosh. Hey, there are 2 growth spikes. Ah, what? I didn't notice this one because of this cataphyll here. Okay, that is so cool. I can't believe that there's 2 little spikes on the giganteum now. I just propagated it, I feel like. I'm really thrilled to see those 2 growth spikes on there. Guys, it's nighttime and I came over here to admire the new growth that I discovered on the giganteum earlier when I was filming. And I just noticed that there are way more growth buds even. I noticed that the little tie that I used to hold the plant onto the stake was covering an area that there might have been a growth bud growing, and I decided to pull it back and look to see just in case, and there was a growth bud there. And then I felt around on the plant and I can feel that there are a whole bunch more growth buds forming here. So there are like at least 5 new growth points on this plant. So that's so exciting. I'm very excited about that. Okay, and then what else on this shelf? There is my ZZ Raven back there, which these are the newest fronds and they are in the period of transitioning from green to dark black. And this was exciting for me too because this plant wasn't growing for a really long time. A seller included this as like a bonus in an Etsy order that I placed years ago, and I just had it as those little stalks and they didn't do anything for a long time until I realized I needed to water it more, which is a total theme in my plant care journey. So now it's growing and it's doing well over here. Let's see what else we've got on this shelf. Oh, this is a sad peperomia clusifolia, which I think had some type of weird leaf, I don't know, like fungal spot or something, and it needed to be pruned back, and then I kind of just ignore it and it lives down here. And then this is a little tank with some shriveled up little mystery oncidium orchids. I believe they were oncidium. These were from an Andes orchid purchase one time. There were some add-on little orchids that didn't have a label because they got confused in the greenhouse, and they were just selling these cuttings of them for pretty cheap, and I keep them in here, and I don't know, I don't pay any attention to them. They're doing okay. Some of them look a little bit shriveled up, but it's definitely growing new little guys. And over here, I've got my Hoya australis that I repotted recently. So it's loving life on this trellis. It's doing really well. It's not dying of thirst anymore. It's got nice turgor pressure in those leaves. This is all new growth here. So these are floppy, but yeah, it's doing really well. It's growing really fast now that I repotted it into a larger pot. And then down here, I've got some cuttings that were going to be propagations of this Scindapsus jade. I took all these propagations from this Scindapsus jade one time that I had, and I never did anything with them. I need to pot them up. Some of them are water propagations, some of them are in moss, and some of them got sunburned. But these, I'm probably gonna pot those all together sometime soon. Okay, what else? I've got this emerald pothos here, which has this like green on green variegation. A lot of these leaves are burnt here. I have a couple of these emerald pothos that I kept in my really sunny hallway spot, which is the brightest lit area in my apartment. Right when I moved into this apartment and didn't really know how the light was gonna be, I had my giant pothos there as well as a bunch of other smaller pothos, and there were a couple of days after I moved in here where everything got really severely burnt up, and this was unfortunately one of the plants that got hit in that round of pothos burn. It's looked really bad for a long time, but now it's acclimated to really bright light and takes a bunch of direct sun every day. I'm probably gonna prune off all of those burnt leaves sometime soon. Then I've got my Philodendron narrow, or my, I think this is also called the tiger tooth, the jungle boogie. It has many names, but yeah, this is a plant that I've had for a while that is also acclimated to really bright light. What else do I have? This is my Scindapsus exotica. And lamp. This is the rhaphidophora that used to be up there. So I don't know what to do with it. I still need to propagate it and stuff. I kind of just draped it over my disco ball. This disco ball is from my wedding or from my like wedding photo shoot. I didn't really have a wedding. I got married at City Hall, but we took some pictures with this disco ball afterwards. So it sits around here and it lights up my living room. I've got this string of turtles over here, which these are the original turtles on them. I think I might have overwatered this recently a little bit because these are like fat and yellow and a little bit squishy. So I'm probably gonna lose some of these turtles, but it's a really, really, really full bunch. This is an anthurium gracili that doesn't look super great, but I think it's an awesome plant. This is another plant that like wishes it was more humid in here, but I'm refusing to give it what it wants. And so every leaf that it grows comes out kind of messed up because they don't unfurl properly. But this is the newest leaf, and this one came out really nicely. So hopefully it's on its way to acclimating. It's been a while now. I've had it for like a full season, and I'm just waiting for it to start finally growing leaves that can live here, and it seems like it finally might be starting to do that. Okay, and then let's see, my Ficus triangularis. It dropped a couple of leaves from that underwatering that I talked about, but it actually hasn't been that bad this time. I said a couple days ago that it might drop a few hundred leaves, but it hasn't been too many. This is my little Hoya rotundiflora, which is starting to make friends with this Hoya australis, so I think I'm gonna need to separate those because I actually don't want those to attach to each other because I have to take that one to the sink to water it every time. Okay, you guys, and then get ready for this. This is like the rarest plant in my collection, probably. This is an anthurium wendlingerii from NSE Tropicals, and it is awesome. This plant is so cool. I want to tell you a little bit more about this plant. So this is a type of pendant anthurium, an anthurium wendlingerii. If you have not heard of it before, it is one of the like rarer ones. It doesn't grow in too many places. It is known for its very long strappy leaves. This is the plant that grows in inflorescence that looks like a corkscrew, like a long white corkscrew. And it's just a really, really cool plant. And it's been acclimating really well into my space without any additional care. It was a bit of a risk to order this plant, but last year one of my friends had me plant sit for his plants for a while, and what he ended up paying me ended up being exactly the price of this plant when it went on sale, which to me seemed like a sign. It was kind of an impulse purchase, but I bought it and I'm not regretting it. So when I got it, it had really tiny leaves. I think this was the longest leaf on the plant. I mean, it was still actually pretty big, maybe like 6-7 inches. But in my care, it then put out this leaf, which is pretty long. And then when I was on Christmas vacation, it tried to put out another leaf that failed and it kind of dried up because I missed some waterings on this while I was away. But then it put out this leaf, which is really interesting and I think is being affected by the humidity because it is crumply and it's weirdly a totally different texture than all the other leaves on this plant. So the other leaves have this kind of like matte texture. Interestingly, the most recent leaf this put out is really shiny. It has a totally different texture and a brightly colored vein. And if it were straight, it would be a very long leaf, but it's a little bit crumpled. And I was hoping that as it was developing, it would flatten out, but I think it's been a while now. I mean, it's been growing for weeks and I think it's maybe done growing now. And it's got this weird different texture. So that's really strange. I don't know if that's a result of it being not humid enough for this plant in here, but it's doing something interesting. And it is growing a new leaf right now. I've got this leaf spike over here. It's about to pop out. So that's really exciting. I've also got a little crystal in the pot because this plant is special. It used to just live on my coffee table all the time and I would move it. I move this plant around my apartment and I don't let it sit in the direct sun for too long. So I'm keeping my eye on it because I did relocate it to this shelf and it is sunny over here. So just, you know, keeping my eyes on this plant. And then back here, I've got one of the giganteum leaves that I put through here so that I could push this plant further back on the shelf. I've got my little sad Hoya heart and a little variegated peperomia obtusifolia. This is the one that used to live over by my green chair on the floor. And I noticed that it's starting to revert, so I wanted to give it a little bit more light over here. And then I just put this here. I don't think this is gonna be enough light for this plant. This is my little phalaenopsis. I don't think this is enough light over here. Orchid people, what do you think? Do you think that this plant could live there? Let me zoom out. It's kind of dark, right? It kind of looks dark. I think I'm gonna put a grow light up here so that I can keep this plant here because I used to keep it on the little table that was right over here. That's really good light for my plants. Oh, see, I've got this other one down here. It's growing a baby. This is my phalaenopsis callosum. Sorry, not phalaenopsis. This is my paphiopedilum callosum. I know it's not the same because the other one's a phalaenopsis orchid, but this is exciting. It's growing a baby here, so I'm very excited about that. Maybe I'll take this plant and just put it down here next to it. I've been keeping them near each other for a while and maybe they just want to be friends. I'm on a learning curve with this one. I underwatered it. I forgot about it like a couple of times in a row and I lost some of the leaves, but it's definitely growing new ones. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about this baby. Yay. Okay, and then we can move up to the top shelf. stand on my chair. Do you like my cactus socks? These are in my Amazon store too. They come in a bunch of different colors in a pack. My husband got it for me for like an occasion, maybe Christmas or my birthday last year. Anyway, I love them. Okay, let's look up here. So now on this top shelf, which didn't used to exist, I relocated this Philodendron red emerald and it's growing, and I'm gonna pay attention to it now because I put it next to my Begonia maculata, which I really like, and I'm gonna have to water it frequently because I still have it in this really small pot. So I'm gonna start paying attention to that plant, and I'm kind of tricking myself into caring for that one by putting it next to a plant that I really like. And then what else do I have up here? Another Hoya heart and some Hoya propagations. And this is a little Ficus deltoidea. It used to be called a Ficus diversifolia because it's got all sorts of different shaped leaves. It's just a funny little crazy friend who's always in a constant existential crisis and just can't figure out what kind of shape leaf they want to have. So anyway, it's a cute little ficus. I like it that it looks kind of similar to the triangularis. So I put it over here now. And yeah, it's kind of a cute little plant. I think they also call this one a mistletoe ficus. Sometimes in really bright light, the leaves can turn kind of yellow, and it can be like this like nice golden color. So it's a cute one. And then over here, oh, I've got a little pilea that was a propagation from one of my plants and some more turtles. So yeah, I think that's about it for the plants over here. Oh, I also want to show you guys that I chopped back my olive tree. Oh, it's already sprouting. I chopped back my olive tree a couple days ago. It used to go all the way up to the top of this pole. I can show you. This is the top of the tree that I chopped off. I put it in this little container here. Oh shoot, all the leaves just fell off. Well, I don't know if this is gonna do anything. I know that it's not exactly easy to propagate olive trees, so I have it in this humidity dome that used to hold my soil, but now I just put an olive tree in there, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so now in honor of all of this newly created space over here, I'm going to repot these syngoniums, and we're gonna do it right over here. So this is exciting, hooray. Yeah, so these are embarrassing. Actually, all of these syngoniums were free gifts, if I remember correctly. There's one plant shop in San Francisco who, I haven't been there in, I guess, since before the pandemic, but the owner used to give away lots of free 4-inch plants. Like if you spent over a certain amount of money, she would be like, why don't you just take a 4-inch plant home? And she had like these trays of usually just like pothos and syngoniums and like nothing too fancy, but still really nice. And she would let you just like grab one on the way out. And so I had picked up these syngoniums as gifts, and I tucked them away into that corner back there and never water them. But it's amazing to me that they're still alive. Like they have survived. Oh, they went through thrips. They were one of the first plants that I ever had experienced thrips with. And so I really became averse to the syngoniums because I felt like they just kept having thrips. And I know that that's not their fault. I think sometimes though, when you just have like a bad experience, you develop an association with the plant, and it doesn't have anything to do with the plant. It just has to do with your past experience that was bad that involved that type of plant, and it can kind of ruin it forever. So I think I got kind of bummed out by my syngoniums, and I just stopped paying attention to them and decided that I never really cared for them. But now I feel bad for these guys, and I have this thing where when plants struggle and hang in there for long enough, I tend to flip in the way that I feel for them, and I start to love them because the ones that are just like really true survivors, I think deserve a place in the spotlight. And so we're gonna repot these. Let's get started. This is my favorite tool for washing pots and for doing like dirty plant washing things because it's got this like silicone brush. I don't know, maybe this is like, this was a revelation for me when I found these tools, because when you wash the inside of like dirty pots, it destroys sponges so fast. This somehow, I didn't think it was gonna work, but this little scrubby silicone tool works so well for cleaning out pots. It was only like $7 or $8 or something. Oh, this is in my Amazon store, by the way. There's like a bunch of different colors. I got this pot, which I've had sitting around for a while. I really like it. I'm gonna put the syngoniums in here because I think it's gonna help me care about them. Sometimes I will trick myself into caring about plants more by putting them into a pot that I really like. So I'm gonna plant them in here. My olive tree used to be in here. 2022 is going to be the year of repotting, and maybe even the year of repotting things together, because I have so many plants that need to be repotted and need help, and I'm really hoping to move at the end of this year. It might be early next year, but I'm hoping that the end of this year I'm going to move. When I see plants like this, I want to plant them together, and that helps me both do a better job caring for my plants and start consolidating plants with an eventual move in mind. I also like the idea of combining more of my plants as I've started collecting more and more plants, and I'm figuring out which ones are the ones that I truly care about and which are the ones that I just kind of have. I think I can start potting together some of the plants that I don't enjoy as much. And for me, I notice that when things are a little bit quirky, I tend to like them more. And so I think when I start mixing up plants into pots together, it makes me also enjoy the plant or the collection of plants as a whole a little bit more too. So let's repot these 3 syngoniums. You completely can't tell what they are. These are all varieties of Syngonium podophyllum. Podophyllum, by the way, means like foot-shaped leaf. Pod, pad, ped. That root usually means foot or foot-like, and then phylum means leaf. So podophyllum, like a foot leaf. So anyway, these plants are technically vining plants, and usually when they're sold in a little like bushy clump, and sometimes people come into the plant store and they're like, something is wrong with my plant, it looks so sick. And they show me a picture of a syngonium that looks kind of like this, except for healthier, and it's what it's supposed to look like eventually. They grow long, they vine out, and they just look a little bit kind of crazy and whimsical. And I didn't like them that much, but when I see this one, like I like this way more than I like the normal form of a syngonium because it looks kind of interesting. They're interesting like this. So I don't know, I have this feeling that I might like this plant now that it's gone through some suffering and now is going to look kind of weird. I like the Dr. Seuss plant look. So yeah, this one is the Syngonium podophyllum. I think it's also called the white butterfly, but it's just the like plain green syngonium. And then this one is the one with the all pink leaf, or it's supposed to be if these leaves would ever open up, but it's the pink illusion, I think is the cultivar name. And then this one is the bold illusion. Let's plant them all together. These plants are like 2 years old and have never been repotted, and they are extremely root bound. This one has almost no roots because I've neglected it so badly, and I feel sorry for it. Thank you guys for being so nice about my struggle plants. In my last video, I kind of like got self-conscious and a little bit defensive about why I have so many struggling plants, and the truth is that there isn't that good of a reason. I just, sometimes you know what you're supposed to do and you just don't do it anyway. I think that that's just part of like being a person. Yeah, I guess I was just saying this because I really appreciate how nice you all have been in the comments, and no one's like super shamed me for like having dead plants and for showing that stuff to you guys. So I really appreciate that, because I think like I'm seeing a transition in the YouTube plant space and in the plant space in general, and I'm hoping that I'm, you know, helping with it too, and that is seeing people be a little bit more open with their plant struggles, not just showing their like most perfect plants. I think like normalizing the yellow leaves and stuff like that is a really important thing to me, and one of the things that I think about in the back of my mind on my channel a lot. And I don't talk about it explicitly because I think part of normalization is not always addressing what you're doing and the fact that you're trying to like normalize something. You just do it and you just live that life, and you show other people that it's not something that you need to apologize for or be weird about in any way. But I guess I'm taking a moment to thank you and sort of break that fourth wall and say that I really appreciate it. And I think that it's really cool that some of you guys have also said that you appreciate that I've shown you my struggle plants, and it makes you feel more comfortable having struggle plants too, and knowing that you're not alone. I feel like this is a really cool thing to build community over, and thank you for the people who have also volunteered that information, because I know it's hard to admit when you're not perfect. That's part of growing. The first step is admitting that you could do better, and then sort of taking steps towards it. And sometimes, you know, things happen, life happens, and that's why plants are great. They're not actually animals, they're plants, and if you mess up, it's okay. So yeah, thank you guys. I was worried this one wasn't gonna have roots either, but it does. This soil sucks. It needed to have been changed out like so long ago. It's really like crusty and doesn't feel like soil anymore. What do you think? Don't tell me what you think, actually. I mean, it doesn't look good, but it will. We're gonna do better with this plant. There's some plants on my list. I'm trying to do better this year, and I think that this is like a really good first step, or I feel like I've been taking a lot of steps to be better with my plant collection, and I feel personally like kind of proud of myself for trying to do better, and I feel really motivated by this cleanup and was motivated to do this cleanup, and I feel really glad that I resituated the shelves over here. And when I do things like this and take care of plants that I just kind of have been ignoring and repot them finally, it creates this feeling for me like lifting a weight that I didn't realize I was carrying. Even something as insignificant as like, oh shoot, I'm killing all of my syngoniums. So I feel a little bit better about this now. I really hope that this was a fun one for you to watch. It was fun for me to build shelves. I love like building furniture and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people hate that, but I love assembling stuff. So this was fun for me. I feel so good about redoing this whole area, and yeah, I was really happy to show you some of the plants I have over here. I'm working my way up towards a full plant tour eventually. It's gonna happen someday, but I just talk so much that the idea of doing a plant tour seems like daunting to me, because it's gonna be like 10 hours long. I would love to hear from you on what plant projects you're working on these days, what plants you're particularly loving, or maybe what plants you're hating and recently got rid of. And I really hope that your plant collection is bringing you joy these days, and I hope that you're having a fantastic week and that you're staying safe, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye. For the record, on the syngonium pink illusion, all these leaves that are curled up, I don't think that they're gonna open.